As we head into the final third of the NBA season, I wanted to talk about some teams that are underrated, who could play spoiler, or go on a run that people don't expect in the playoffs. So here are the scariest playoff underdogs in the NBA. First up, I have the Philadelphia 76ers. Philly's playoffs hopes are almost completely dependent on the health of Joel Embiid, which is never a good thing for Sixers fans to hear. But if he does wind up being healthy, or even mostly healthy for the playoffs, the Sixers could make things scary for the rest of the Eastern Conference. Without Embiid, the Sixers are currently 11-13 so far this season, but are 19-12 when he is healthy, which would translate to a 50-win pace per 82 games. A lineup of Maxey, Edgecombe, Oubre, George, and Embiid would be one of the best in the playoffs, and if they wanted to tweak it and insert Dominic Barlow in instead and have Oubre come off the bench for a scoring punch, that would work too. Quentin Grimes is a quality guard option off the bench as well. Offensively, they're very hard to stop because of how skilled they are, with both Embiid and Maxey able to drop 30 or more on any given night, and both are capable of playmaking. Paul George and Quentin Grimes are also able to score and pass as well, and can help to keep the offense cooking when either of the two stars are off the court. As a team, they are more than capable of consistently scoring at all three levels, and they have two stars that are excellent at drawing free throws, which helps a lot in the playoffs when points are harder to come by. Defensively, they have quality pieces, with Edgecombe, George, Barlow, and Embiid capable of being a solid rim protector still. The Sixers are the only team in the NBA that is top 10 in opponent shooting efficiency on shots at the rim, shots from mid-range, and shots from three. They're top 8 in offensive rebounding percentage, offensive and defensive turnover percentage, and free throw rate, which are all huge advantages in the playoffs. While they are dependent upon health and have some flaws, the Sixers will certainly be a scary matchup for teams in the East and have a chance to win the conference. Next up, I have the Los Angeles Clippers. The Clippers have been one of the hottest teams in the league over the past couple months, and have still managed to retain that momentum despite selling their win-now players for talented younger players. After trading away James Harden and Ivica Zubac at the deadline, the Clippers managed to reset their timeline by acquiring Darius Garland, Benedict Mathurin, and picks, which will both help them in the future and still keep them in the running for a playoff spot this year. Garland has not yet played for the Clips, but he should fit in well as he's a pretty similar player to James Harden, being both a great playmaker and a quality scorer. Mathurin has been really good so far in his brief tenure in Los Angeles as he's averaging 22 points per game in 5 contests. They also have a solid bunch of role players as well, including John Collins and Derrick Jones Jr., who are both having the best season of their careers, along with Brook Lopez, Jordan Miller, Chris Dunn, and Nicholas Batum. And of course you have yourself a superstar in Kawhi Leonard who is playing some of the best basketball of his life. The 34-year-old wing is averaging the most points of his career, pouring in 28 points per game with really good efficiency, as he has a true shooting percentage of 62 this year. He's absolutely been one of the 10 best players in the league this year at worst, and would be a tough guy for any team to deal with. Even though they made some trades to help focus more on the future, they're still more than capable of giving a good team a run for their money in the playoffs, or even pulling off an upset. Staying in the Western Conference, I have the Minnesota Timberwolves next. Even though Minnesota's made back-to-back conference finals appearances, they seem to be getting underrated yet again by most of the NBA world. They currently have the 5th best odds to win the Western Conference, but I think they are a better team than some of those that are favored over them. Multiple teams ahead of them seem to have a rather large flaw, but the Wolves don't have any major holes on the team. Sure, you probably wish they had a better point guard, but the ability of Dante DiVincenzo to handle the ball and the addition of Ayo Dosunmu at the trade line do help to alleviate the concerns a good amount. They're a very balanced team, as they are 6th in points per possession on offense and 8th in points per possession on defense, making them one of only 5 teams in the NBA to be top 8 in both categories. They have a bona fide superstar in Anthony Edwards that is a microcosm of the team itself, being capable of playing at a high level on both offense and defense. Julius Randle showed last year that he's capable of being a quality second option that can also be a good two-way player as well. And they have really good role players in Rudy Gobert, Jaden McDaniels, Dante DiVincenzo, Naz Reid, and Ayo Dosunmu that fit well together. And one thing they have going for them that some of the teams above them in the standings don't is experience and stability. This Wolves core has been together for several years and have been battle-tested in the playoffs in deep runs the past couple years, whereas teams like the Spurs and Rockets only have one playoff series played between them. I think Minnesota's continuity and ability to play at a high level on both ends of the court makes them a scary team to face in the playoffs, and will be a very tough out. Next up, I have the Charlotte Hornets. The Hornets are far less experienced than any other team on this list, as their only postseason experience comes from playing a single play-in game 5 years ago that they lost. But with Charlotte seemingly having hit on their draft picks the past few years, and the health of their team being better this year most importantly, they seem to be really rounding into form over the past couple months, and look like they could give a good team real problems in the playoffs. After starting 4-14, they've since had a top 10 record in the NBA, and 5th best net rating in the league since then. Like previously stated, the biggest thing for the Hornets this year has been the health of their core, which has been missing in previous years, as each of LaMelo Ball, Brandon Miller, Con Knipple, and Moussa Diabate have all played 40 or more games so far this year. That 4-man group has been insanely productive so far this season when they've been on the court, as they have an astonishing plus 22 net rating so far this year, in a not so insignificant amount of minutes. For comparison, the most used 4-man grouping of the Detroit Pistons, who have the best record in the league, has a net rating of 12. Everyone knows about how good they can be on offense with LaMelo at the helm, and Miller and Knipple flanking him, but Charlotte's defense has been great since their poor start as well. Since late November, their defense ranks 9th in points per possession, 6th in opponents' effective field goal percentage, and they're number 1 in defensive rebounding percentage. They may not be conference contender status quite yet, but they can give a good team a run for their money in a series. Next, I have the Phoenix Suns. The Suns have been one of the biggest surprises of the season this year, as they've been a well above average team despite expectations that they would lose 50 or more games. They've had a complete identity change as a team from last year, going from an offensive-focused team to now a defensive-minded team, and it's been a huge boost for them. First-year head coach Jordan Ott and Dylan Brooks, who was traded to Phoenix in the offseason, have completely changed the culture and have turned them into a feisty defense, going from 27th in points per possession last season to 9th this season. This is in large part due to their aggressiveness in trying to force mistakes, resulting in having the 3rd highest turnover percentage in the NBA on defense. On the offensive end, they are led by veteran star in Devin Booker, who has plenty of playoff experience, most notably leading the Suns to the finals in 2021. Booker is surrounded by quality offensive players as well, in Dylan Brooks, Colin Gillespie, Grayson Allen, and Mark Williams, all averaging at least 11 points per game on solid efficiency. The biggest swing factor for the Suns is the play of recently healthy Jalen Green. Green has hardly played at all this year after sustaining 2 lengthy injuries, but he has a lot of offensive potential that could help Phoenix. His athleticism and shot making is something that the Suns don't have a lot of, that he could possibly provide. The only question is if he can knock down his shots efficiently, as it is something he has struggled with in the past. But even without him playing at his best, the Suns will be an annoying matchup for a team like San Antonio or Houston that are less experienced and won't have the physicality advantage, and they could absolutely pull off a first-round upset. And lastly, I have the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Cavaliers are currently 3rd in odds to win the Eastern Conference, which seems a little bit underrated to me because they just won 64 games a year ago and have maybe upgraded their team since then. Swapping Darius Garland for James Harden should be an upgrade due to availability alone, as Garland has been very fragile over the past couple years and remains out, while Harden is an Iron Man in comparison. Harden also brings experience to a team that has lacked deep playoff run experience and makes the team bigger on defense, so teams won't be able to exploit Cleveland's small backcourt quite as much as they have in years past. The emergence of Jalen Tyson at the small forward position allowed the Cavaliers to trade away DeAndre Hunter to beef up their bench with guards Dennis Schroeder and Keon Ellis at the trade deadline. They also elevated their backup center position with the addition of Thomas Bryant in the offseason, who played that role well for the Pacers last year on their finals run. They're both a top 10 offense and defense this season despite all their injuries, and those should only get better with their new additions. They will also be getting a pseudo addition with Max Strus still expected to come back before the playoffs, as he will give them another shooter to go with Jalen Tyson and Sam Merrill, who have been 2 of the best 3-point shooters in the league this year. And of course you have a fantastic front court, and one of the best in the league, in Evan Mobley and Jared Allen. In an Eastern Conference that seems to be wide open, the Cavaliers have just as good a chance as any team in the conference to make it to the finals, and I'm leaning towards having them as the favorite myself.